Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Manson. Welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a very serious show for you guys here today. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. My handle is CTABANZ. So today we have another development in this bombshell story, right? As you guys know, prior to the Epstein files being released, Congress and then these guys passed a bill where I believe it was called the Epstein Transparency Act or something like that, where they made it clear and explicit in the bill that they were only really meant to protect victims, right? And keep away sensitive information that may be harmful to the victims. So when the DOJ and Pam Bondi and these guys, they dropped the first batch of files, almost all of it was redacted. 90% of the files were redacted. I mean, there's certain files that you would go through and you're just scrolling through documents with 100 pages of just blacked out pages on them. And I'm saying to myself, okay, so you guys are disseminating this to the public as if to say what? This is information. This is you guys being transparent. And once that information came out, various people like Rokan and others were very, 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 very upset. And they are even threatening to draft some impeachment articles for Pam Bondi. Is that serious, right? So given all of the drama that's surrounding these documents, things had kind of simmered down. When the first batch dropped, obviously we even put Bill Clinton in the title of that show because he was a key prominent political figure that was featured in those images. You saw pictures of him and Ghislaine Maxwell and others in a swimming pool. All of it, and I gotta say, all of it was creepy. And I also gotta say this. With the new batch that dropped last night, and I was looking at some of the pictures of some of the homes. Now, I don't know, maybe it's the way they took the photographs. Maybe the lights were off, and it was a flash on the cameras. The homes of Jeffrey Epstein are very, very creepy. It gives off. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie Eyes Wide Shut. If you've ever watched the Tom Cruise movie with him and I think Nicole Kidman, if you ever seen that movie. Some of the interiors is kind of similar to what you see in them. It was just so creepy. I don't know, maybe just me, but I found a lot of it to kind of be very, 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 very creepy environments that Jeffrey Epstein had kind of crafted for himself there. And I also actually came across, I believe it was an image where they were talking about Jeffrey Epstein's assets. He was worth about $500 million. I think he had $56 million in cash, $14 million in reoccurring revenue, just a bunch of stuff, right? And they spoke about various properties that he owned, and I think some of them were in the recent dump. So anyway, you had that. They featured Clinton. They featured some other people, celebrities, mostly Michael Jackson, Chris Tucker, Mick Jagger, a few others that I can't think of at the moment. I think Bill Gates was there as well. But anyway, after they did all of that, the American public said, this is just not going to suffice. And you guys must really take us for a set of fools. So what happened? Yesterday, out of nowhere, they mistakenly dropped or leaked 30,000 new documents. And I actually went online to look at them. And this batch of documents, a lot of it had to do with a lot of paperwork and things like that. And as I was going through this, a lot of it as well was still redacted and stuff like this. And I said to myself, I said, look, this thing is a mess. And it's so much of a mess that even the president himself had to talk about it because he was questioning about it. But I don't want to get to the president stuff right now. What I want to get to is the fact that in some of these files that they released, they mistakenly didn't redact the president's name, Donald Trump. And in some of these files, his name started appearing multiple times. So what we want to do is we want to play a quick summation of some of the things that were found in this new dump from the DOJ. We want to play some sound here from CNN where they just pretty much give you guys a quick summation of everything, and then I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to this sound here.
The Justice Department has now released a big new batch of documents in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and these include new details about Epstein's one-time friendship with President Trump. Look, there is a lot to go through. We said it's like more than 10,000 pages, so we are digging through this. But this is what is seen so far. In a 2020 email, an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York wrote that Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet, quote, more times than previously has been reported, at least 8 times between 1993 and 96. And on a flight in 1993, according to the email, there was just 3 passengers, Trump, Epstein, and what's described as a 20-year-old woman. Being mentioned in a trove of investigatory documents does not demonstrate criminal wrongdoing, a reminder, and Trump has not been accused of being involved in Epstein's crimes. On Monday, the president did seem dismayed that the release of any and all of these files, though, could harm the reputations of individuals he said, quote, innocently met Epstein. Now, remember, he is the man they also signed into law last month, a measure requiring the Justice Department to do just this, release the files.
A lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin the reputation of somebody.
As we speak, CNN has a team working through the documents just released. We are going to bring you the findings as they come in. CNN's Caitlin Polans is live in Washington this morning. A lot to work through, and we're just getting started. Caitlin, what do you have so far?
We're just getting started, but the headline here is quite clear. Donald Trump is all over these documents. In that first trove that the Justice Department released on Friday, there were just a few very scant mentions of Trump, including in a picture collected with a bunch of other pictures. In this one, there is already one very illuminating email that was sent during the first presidency of Donald Trump while prosecutors in the Southern District of New York were working on the case against Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. This is after Epstein's death. And one of those prosecutors writes, I'm going to read from this letter because it is what was new to the prosecutors at the time and what is new to us now, receiving these documents now in the public sphere from the Justice Department. The prosecutor, unnamed, an assistant U.S. attorney of the Southern District of New York, wrote on January 8th of 2020, the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported or that we were aware. That's the Justice Department in 2020, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. On one flight in 1993, Donald Trump and Epstein are the only two passengers listed. On another, the only three passengers are Epstein, Trump, and a then 20-year-old. On two other flights, two of the passengers respectively were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. And then the assistant U.S. attorney concludes this email by telling his or her supervisors or superiors in the Justice Department didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. That's a direct quote. Now, Donald Trump, he has not commented yet on this particular revelation in the Epstein files coming out overnight and this morning that we are now surfacing for you here. But Donald Trump has downplayed his relationship with Epstein in the past. And of course, this is something that is documenting his connection to Epstein traveling on that private plane in the 90s. So many years ago, Kate. But Trump even yesterday was saying that everyone was friendly with Epstein. He was all over Palm Beach. And Ghislaine Maxwell, this past year, has said in an interview with the Justice Department talking about Trump that she never saw him do anything that wasn't gentlemanly, that was any sort of impropriety at all. That said, this is a document that shows the possibility of Donald Trump having an intersection with Ghislaine Maxwell and the criminal case against her in which she was convicted for sex trafficking of minors. Clearly, this did not come out in the trial, but it is a pretty revelatory document. And Kate, it's just one page right now. This is the one page that I've walked you through. There are many, many more documents that we are piecing through this morning to see what else may be news here.
Excellent. So you heard the breakdown there from CNN. Now, I did mention, aforementioned, that we were going to have a chance to hear from the president, because a lot of people have been saying that Donald Trump is doing his best, if not to protect himself, but to protect maybe some people that he knows, some powerful people that are around the world and stuff like this. So when the president was questioned on this, his response really surprised me, especially the comments that he had to make about Bill Clinton. Why does that surprise me? Number one, when the president and his administration and the DOJ started to come under a tremendous amount of pressure to release the files, he was calling it a Democratic hoax, prior to him running this time, you can go back to videos of him talking about Prince Andrews, Bill Clinton, and all of that. So you were pointing people in the direction of Bill Clinton and others. So I was very, very surprised when your DOJ, although they're meant to be an independent body, certainly doesn't seem that way, released pictures, and the only prominent figure in terms of a politician was former U.S. President Bill Clinton and a bunch of celebrities. So when I heard Trump now essentially saying that he feels bad for the fact that Bill Clinton, images of Bill Clinton are now being spread all throughout the internet, I was very surprised, because he was the one that was pointing people's attention in the direction of Bill Clinton and even saying his name. So take a listen to what the president had to say here quickly, and then we're going to really get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. Take a listen to the President Donald Trump here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their
By
full...
what?
And were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their full release by the end of the year? Some of the victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they're giving their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy, either friendly or not friendly, but he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers. And Bill Clinton was a friend of his, but everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. This is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida. And everybody would come here. He'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein many years ago, and they're highly respected bankers and lawyers and others, and they'll end up, because of guys like Massey, who's a real lowlife, whose polls are down to about 9%, by the way, in the great state of Kentucky. If you look at Kentucky, Kentucky is such a great place, but I don't know, they've got a couple of people in there that are very strange in terms of leadership, but Massey's a loser, and he likes it, and that he works with the Democrats. He's just being used by the Democrats, because what this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished. I believe they gave over 100,000 pages of documents, and there is tremendous backlash. It's an interesting question, because a lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody. So a lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success. Look, we have $18 trillion coming into our country.
So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts? Again, I have to say that I'm surprised. He almost seemed to be coming to the defense of Bill Clinton, and if not the defense, he seemed to be a bit sympathetic to the position that Bill Clinton is in. He also spoke about how now these images, if you're just caught in a photograph with Jeffrey Epstein, it's almost like as if you're guilty by association. Even if you just took a harmless picture with him, you could be accused of something. He then took a shot of some of his own party members to some Republicans, where I think he called them idiots or something like that, stupid Republicans that decided to go against him. Of course, Trump is going to definitely do that, but I am surprised that he took that tone. I was expecting him to be a lot more nasty towards Bill Clinton, because it would have been a great time for him, at least I think with his base, to score some political points. You see, it's not me, it's the bad Democrats. The Democrats are the ones that are corrupt and blah, blah, blah. So I was surprised that he took that tone when it came to Bill Clinton. What are my thoughts about this? Look, I think that the DOJ is going to need to do a better job at being more transparent. When you have Ro Khan and others talking about they're planning to impeach Pam Bondi, it means that they haven't done a good enough job. They didn't even follow the rules of the article that was passed. They said, in terms of redaction, the primary thought process that you guys need to adhere to is when you're redacting, ensure that you're protecting the victims. And if you go through those files, you can go, I don't know if they're still up, but if you go through those files or look at another channel that's talked about them, you will clearly see that it had nothing to do with protecting the victims. It was just like, we're just going to black out everything. And the craziest part about it is, I'm surprised that they thought that they were going to get away with it, or they just think that we can put anything out here and people are just going to ride with us. Regardless of whether or not this makes any sense, regardless of whether or not we're being forthcoming about this information, people are just going to side with us. And that's not what's happening at all. A lot of people have been making content about this, really pushing back. One of them I saw is from the guy, CoffeeZilla. He has another channel, I believe it's called, ZeoZilla or something like that. I was watching a video of his earlier today. Penguins also spoke about it. I'm sure you guys know who he is. He has a major platform. He's talking about it as well. I don't know if anyone else is talking about it. I saw Andrew Schultz now all of a sudden criticizing the president. And I'm sitting here looking at him like, bro, what are you talking about? It hasn't even been a year since Donald Trump has been in office. And now all of a sudden you guys are turning like, what are you talking about? Right? What exactly you ought to have known better. You should have done a little bit more due diligence to now all of a sudden 9, 10, 11 months into the administration. Now all of a sudden you're criticizing. Man, just like, man, knock it off. Knock it off. When the moment was there and everybody was riding the wave, you guys jumped on top and thought you were doing the American public a service. And now all of a sudden you're having second thoughts. Now all of a sudden you regret it. You just look at the convention that the Republicans had, the Charlie Kirk's, I forgot the damn name of it, where you had Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly, J.D. Vance. All of these guys just went up on stage and were insulting each other back and forth. Right? That's all that they were doing. So now they were witnessing the fracture in the movement. All of a sudden now, I feel so bad about what I did. I feel so bad. Man, knock it off. People don't want to hear that at this point in time. To be quite frank with you, for the people that didn't vote for the president, they're really not interested in hearing or seeing your crocodile tears. People are not interested in it. I don't know if these guys are aware of this, but people are not interested in it. Like, they're just not, right? Because the ramifications are just too devastating. So people don't want to hear that. In terms of what the DOJ is going to do, are they going to try to impeach Pam Bondi? I guess we have to wait and see. Right? I don't know. But now you have this new leak where you have the president's name appearing in many of these documents. That's a problem, especially given the fact that there were reports that the DOJ commissioned over 1,000 FBI agents to go out and try to scrub his name out of the files. And then you have something like this. Of course, you had the other blunder that the DOJ deleted off of their website, the image of President Donald Trump, I believe his wife at the time. I'm not sure if it was his wife, but I know it was him, Jeffrey Epstein, and some young women in a photograph, and it was in a drawer, right? It wasn't like a photograph where they just took a photograph and showed it. It was an open drawer, and you had him there, and they ended up taking that file down, right? They removed the president's image there. So it's just a bunch of funny business. I don't think these guys are going to ever be transparent about this issue. I think personally they're just going to try to move on from it, right? And I think that's what's going to happen. And I think over time we're going to see if Americans are going to make this a big enough issue or not. And we'll have to wait and see. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.